Welcome back to Stay Tuned. I'm Tony Angelo, and today we're going to dig into a couple of different Junkyard LS motors.
Dumbest. I love it.
There's basically two ways you can go with these things. You can pick up a 5.3 or a 6 liter, but here's the issue. A Gen 4 iron 5.3 will cost you around $1,000. A Gen 4 iron 6 liter will cost you about $2,000. And today we're going to dig in and see, is that extra 0.7 liter of displacement worth all that extra money?
Please take a second and go over to the Stay Tuned merch store. We've got a rack of shirts from the original Stay Tuned shirt, Angelo's Gym. We're going to lose the shop. Check it out, and there's lots of stickers too.
So if you're still with us and you haven't clicked the new Vice Grip Garage video yet, I know LS motors make people crazy and people put them in everything. Number one, they work. Number two, they're everywhere. And number three, they're very affordable. Yeah. So it makes a lot of sense to use them. We get flack for putting them in everything. I'm going to give you a fact right now. We've never put them in anything on Stay Tuned. It's our 61st video. This is the first time there's an LS engine on camera. So if you want to go out and scream at some, builders and whatever YouTube people about putting LSs and everything,
it's not us.
Find somebody else. Yeah. This is Barb's 6 liter motor. It is an LY6. Again, this is the engine you're going to pay a little bit more for. We've looked around. Prices seem to be around $2,000 for something like this complete, and about $1,000 for a 5.3, similar generation, similar construction. So it's double the price. And we want to find out by putting the same camshaft and the same performance parts on these things, is it worth all that money? We're going to Charles Minnick chassis, and we're going to dyno when we're done. Barb's got a 64 Nova, if you guys didn't know. It's sweet, it's clean, it's maroon. He keeps it super meticulous. It's a great little small block car, and it runs low 12s. Yeah. It's like a street strip car. He drives quite a bit. And the plan is to go harder with it, much harder. All right, we broke this thing down already. Barb put a coat of Chevy orange paint on this thing, just to keep it in the old school vibe. And it's time to start building it up. We've got stage 3 Summit camshaft for each motor, valve springs that go with it, brand new lifters. We're going to do the trunnion bearing upgrades. Let's get cracking. Yep. You don't know about LS engines, you can run a pretty monstrous camshaft with very little head work, just different springs. This is a Summit billet stage 3 camshaft. You're looking at 600 overall lift, which is pretty wild. You're looking at 232 intake, 242 exhaust duration, and 113 lobe separation. Pretty good. A little chop to it, a little bit. Gonna have a little chop to it. It's got 3 degrees advance built into the camshaft. That's like a pretty standard thing that people do. So when you install it on your timing set, just comes straight up and down. That's pretty standard.
And this is at top dead center now.
I can confirm that.
Yes. How's that?
Right there. She's right there. When you get these old motors apart, obviously you want to give a look at a couple different things. Check the bore for any crazy scrapes or anything terrible. Make sure it spins over. If you're going to go buy something from a junkyard, just bring a wrench. And make sure it turns over happily. If it gets stuck, you got a problem. When you take it out, just don't look at the cam bearings. It's not worth your time, right? Close our eyes.
If you don't look, they're good.
If you don't look, they're good. There you go. That's the one.
I just don't want the glove to go in there with it. There you go. Beautiful.
Coolest thing about LS motors, one of them is that like all the gaskets are incredibly good. It's like usually like O-ring impregnated into a plate of metal. You can use them over and over. These motors are light years ahead of old small blocks. It's so cool.
Ready? Okay. Good and tight. Oil pump. That next. Actually, this. the other way. Just that easy. Here.
Well, I was trying to figure out Colin's scenario.
What's going on with that thing?
I think I got to figure it out. I think he's got some bad spline engagement, but it's going to be a tough one to reconcile.
Okay.
This is a centering tool. Timing cover has quite a bit of movement in it. So grab yourself a centering tool, put that on, and then you can tighten it down. It won't really have, it'll have this. You kind of make sure it's level after that. So just have a look down.
Actually, you know what we could do now? Snug the pan up.
That's fine,
and then
too.
do it. Yeah. Let's do that.
All right, so LS's have a setup where the lifters ride in these trays. Bart went out and got new ones. It's not a terrible idea. They sit in here, and they just house the lifters, and they move up and down. He's got them all bathed in oil. These guys will just kind of grab them. LS factory roller lifters. These are the ones that came in, or you got new ones?
These are new. These are LS7 style.
Fresh ones. Where are these lifters from?
Brian's away. A little extra sauce for the leftover pasta here.
Oh, yeah.
It's like an erector set.
Got that right. All right, since we're gonna just sit here and knock a bunch of valve springs into Barb's cylinder heads, we're gonna do mine at the same time. I've got a set of 799 heads. We took a couple thousands off just to clean them up. Everything is the way it came from Chevrolet, stock valves. We're gonna install a Summit dual valve spring upgrade kit. This is good for cams up to 600 lift. We're running 600 lift. We're right at the ragged edge of that, but it should work fine. They give you a buffer. So if you don't know, it's pretty straightforward. You're gonna take your heads, disassemble them, and then we're gonna show you how to assemble them. You need a valve spring compressor and a whole bunch of different little parts when we get rocking. You are putting together your stuff. Different valve springs, different seals, but all the same performance.
stuff, yeah.
It's all gonna work the same.
Yep.
All right, it's easier with two people, I think, so we'll just do one at a time. You wanna do these first?
Sure.
All right, let's do these. I'll set the machine up. All right, so starting with these 799 cylinder heads that came on my 5.3. These are cathedral port style. Still make quite a bit of horsepower with these. Specs on these are 2-inch intake valves, 155 exhaust valve, 64 cc chambers, and I think 209 CFM intake runners. So pretty burly for a stock head. You know, the LS stuff is such a huge jump forward in performance, and that's one of the reasons people use these things. All right, I'm about to knock in the valve seals. I've got these spring seats or spring bases, whatever you want to call them, in there first. I'm going to grab some valve seals and nuts. I don't have the fancy special tool for this, so I'm going to just press them all with my thumb a little bit and then smack them with the socket and hammer. I'm going to dip the valve stems, a little bit more oil, find that guide, pop it through, and get ready to install my spring kit. So now it's going to be double valve spring, the Summit setup, and then get your wording right. This is a retainer. Once you've got your retainers in, you're going to compress the whole thing with a big old spring compressor. It's kind of a two-man job. All right, so now after you've got that retainer squished down, you can add your keepers. Can I let it up slow? No. Down? Okay, up.
Yes, we did one.
Yeah, we did. And done.
Beautiful. All right. Yep. I'm trying to stay like hovering over a little in case they decide to.
All right, we'll give him this. All right, there we go. One head done. 3 more to go.
All right.
Let's rock. All right, we've got my 799 heads all dialed in for my 5.3. Now we're gonna do the same thing to barbs, springs, retainers, keepers, and graded rock. So here we go. Cool, so after 32 valves, we have both sets of heads finished. Barb is going to start doing the trunnion bearing upgrade. If you don't know, these have a needle bearing in them that can be really troublesome. You want to get rid of them if you're going to do any kind of performance modifications. So he's going to do that procedure while I start to slap my short block together with the new camshaft, lifters, etc. Ready?
Ready, bud.
All right.
So I am replacing the trunnions in the factory rocker arms. The factory trunnions are needle bearing, which, as you can see from the one that I took apart here, is just filled with a million of these little tiny needle bearings. And if you have a failure with one of these at high RPM, these things get sent through the motor and destroy everything. So a pretty common upgrade is to replace them with bronze bushings. Summit makes this awesome trunnion kit with the bushings, all the clips and everything you need to put them together. So simple, 2 sockets and a couple of washers for spacers, and you stack these things up in the vise, and you put it in here and just give it a press. So it pops right out. We got 2 trunnions, as you can see. There's a million little needle bearings in here, which could wreak havoc. We're going to get rid of those. Get rid of the old trunnions. So we're going to get this one nice and oiled up. Get this lined up in here. Press it in until it's flush with the edge of the rocker arm. And then take the other side, put a bunch of oil on it. Put it in there. Make sure your flat face is facing up, even though you could spin it all the way around, really doesn't matter. And then get your second side oiled up here. So I'm just going to press it in as far as it'll go, which is about there, until you can't go any farther. Then I have a couple of 3/4 inch washers that I'm going to put on the back side to let me push it the rest of the way through. That's it. It's flush there. So you can see here, the bronze part is flush with the rocker on this side, flush with the rocker on this side. And then they give you these little clips, your snap ring pliers. That's it. So you can see these things spin real nice, go together really easily. When you put them in the car, make sure that the flat side's facing up so that the flange from the bolt goes down, and then this sits in the rocker tray. You're all set.
So I am just throwing some assembly lube on my Summit Stage 3 cam. Same spec for basically everything. So I'm gonna give my 5.3 the same treatment we gave barbs and get it ready to run. It's assembly time. Sweet. Okay, so now I've caught up on my motor build. I've got my Summit camshaft installed in my short block, plus all the valvetrain parts, lifters, etc. You are ready to throw your heads on. I'm ready to throw my heads on, so let's do it.
Ready?
Oh, yeah.
That's the wrong one. Yeah, I see what you did there.
All right, I'll put these on.
Yeah. You scared?
Couple more things. Going down the road.
Good.
Yep.
Okay.
She's ready to go. You grab me bolts, please.
1 second. You have 2 bolts for the top here? Okay, so all the ARP torque specs are a little bit different. They're not torque-sealed like the factory style bolts. So we're gonna go 25 foot-pounds, then 50, then 80, and then you tighten the little top rail ones to 25 foot-pounds. And then give you the sequence chart here. Alright, that's done. Okay, so we got a gasket for our valley cover here. This is a Mr. Gasket brand from Holley. And then we have this killer machined anodized trussed valley cover, also from Holley. We're gonna lay this thing on here. Line up those bolts. Then we got some nice stainless hardware. Mr. Gasket makes a really nice kit to put these things together, so you don't have to use your factory bolts. Sure up. All right, now let's get some push rods in here and rocker girdles, I guess we can call them, and we'll rock.
I'm running a stock LS head bolt, so these are torque to yield, which means they have to have a certain amount of stretch in them. I'm gonna run these all to 22 foot-pounds, then 90 degrees more, and then 70 degrees more with an angle gauge. And that voodoo should get us right in the perfect stretch zone. Here and do the same thing. Just do them in steps. Again, if you have a fancy wrench or a friend to hold your angle gauge, rock and roll. We're gonna freelance this thing. We're gonna eyeball it. We're gonna do it by feel. We're gonna use the force. Turn that. Now it's time to do 70. So we're gonna go 20 less than 90, which is like 20 less. Here we go. All right, head torque done. Now I'm gonna drop in the push rods, bolt down the rocker pedestals and the rockers, and this thing is caught right up to Bar Leonardo over there. Set a Summit 5/16, 7/400 push rod. Comes with this sweet piece of newspaper from 2013. That's vintage right there. Don't look at car prices. Jeez, what do we got in here? 97 BMW 740, 6800. Belonged to movie star Leslie Nielsen from The Naked Gun. That's a steal right there. All that added value.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Pretty awesome.
That's amazing. All right, cool. All right, second time, same as the first. Push rods, rockers, ready to run. So now we have my 5.3 and Barb's Junkyard 6-liter built up, same cam, same valve springs basically, same performance upgrades. We're gonna throw some more parts on them and get them into the frame for my 70 Cutlass. Not the frame that's under it, because that is bent like a pretzel. A new frame that I picked up. And we're taking these motors in the frame only over to the dyno and see what kind of power they can make. I'm telling you, 5.3 is gonna surprise you.
Brand new morning here. It's dyno day. We've got Barb's 6-liter sitting in my Cutlass frame. We are getting close. We did not get much sleep last night, but we thrashed really hard. The whole front accessory drive is on there. I mounted up our cold case radiator. Holly EFI is getting ready to fire up. I have this sweet piece here. This is a drive shaft shop, big boy aluminum drive shaft with a hardened yoke that our buddy Brandon at Hartman Drive Shaft in Reading, Pennsylvania, shortened up for us, balanced, and made it fit this Cutlass.
Lickety split.
Yes, so this is enough drive shaft for 9 of these engines, so it'll work just fine. Okay, so Barb's 6-liter is in my Cutlass frame. We are getting ready to fire it up. We spent all night doing the accessory drive, set up a cooling system. That ridiculous fuel pump system is set up. There's a drive shaft in it. It's all wired up, and we're really close to firing this thing up. I punched in just on the handheld. This is the Terminator X actually out of our Lincoln. Rest in peace for now. And I just came in, figured out the LS quick start guide, came in, it has a global configuration, punched in the vitals, and this thing is about ready to fire up. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Ready? All right, Zimmy, work the throttle. Don't go crazy, but there's no IAC. You ready? All right, that's something.
Yeah.
Let me get to a screen that has oil pressure.
Yeah. Let's not do that. Oh, it smells yummy.
Nice. That sounds like a car, man. Woo! In here. That's sweet.
That
All right.
sounds good.
Make some horsepower.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. I only saw like 30 oil pressure.
It's not my favorite.
Do you want to check the level? You got the right level in there? You want to do one more? Let's do one more. You want to watch it over here? Just want to make sure I don't want to hurt anything.
Does it go up when I give it more?
It does. It's going up, but it's not going high. Ready? Rev it up. Yeah, should be like 50, 60 at there, 2,800. It should go like, idle at 25.
10 pounds for every 1,000.
Yeah, plus cold.
Cold with 1030 in it, this should be at least 50.
So, as we fired it up, one reason I wasn't jumping out of my socks is because it was reading pretty low oil pressure. We're in the low 20s, 25. Zach was revving it up. We got a little trigger happy. We might have gotten to 28, but that's it. And it sort of held at 3,000 RPM. 20, 25, whatever. I read the voltage right off of the sensor because I don't know how to change the sensor pickup here in case it was set up for an LS sensor, and this is aftermarket 0 to 100 PSI transducer. And we came up with a voltage that is right in line with 25 PSI. So this thing is making 25 PSI. There's the thing that happens with the LS motors. Again, we're not super familiar with them. I've done a couple of them. There is a very finicky oil pickup O-ring on the tube, so we're going to get hot and messy, drop the pan, check that O-ring out, make sure it's a good seal, because what will happen is if it's pinched or kinked or ripped, then it will suck air around it and won't allow enough suction up to the pump to deliver enough oil to make enough pressure. All right, and then we're going to go to Brad's at some point and make some horsepower.
Yeah.
First, we're going to make some oil pressure. Come. Don't move, yeah.
I got it.
Taking this oil pan out to check and see. It's hot, 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 hot. It's a hot sandwich. Wow.
I wish it was a hot sandwich. It'd be a lot better than what we're doing. Okay. So
I was just telling myself it's a hot sandwich just so I could deal with it. All right, so the oil pickup tube, the end is here. That's the pickup. It runs up and feeds the oil pump here. We're gonna take it out and have a look at this O-ring. Hopefully it's mashed and smashed and we can fix it very easily. If not, I don't know what's next. Maybe a hot little 5.3 coming in here, making some horsepower.
Okay.
Moment of truth. It has an O-ring on it. It's not mangled, but it felt pretty loose in there, if I'm being honest.
the tube, right?
Yeah. Check and make sure. Okay, Brad showed up and said, hey, if you have a DOD motor or your motor has those oil pedestals underneath the cover, you have to have O-rings around those covers or the oil is just gonna go up, spray all around, and you're not gonna make any oil pressure. So that's the issue we know we have. We don't have the right cover / O-ring gasket scenario. Brad's got one at the shop. We're gonna borrow it. So we have checked the pickup. Everything in the pan looks solid. It's back up and in there full of oil. We're gonna hit the road to Brad's and try to make some pressure and then get this thing tuned. Let her eat. Woo. All right, we zipped over to PSR Performance, our local dyno shop. This is Brad's shop. He's got a couple different dynos, all chassis set up. We're gonna roll this thing right onto the dyno rollers and see what it does after we fix the oil pressure thing. Yeah. Moment of truth, we're pulling off this valley pan. I'm sure all you LS guys at home have been screaming at us the whole time. Yes, looks like very possibly these were just 4 fountains of oil pressure around all the important stuff. And we're gonna stick this cover in that has O-rings that are going to the top of each one of these pedestals. Each one of these pedestals is just leaking precious oil pressure.
Somebody wrote that in there.
Yeah, how about that? But they didn't give you guys anything. I have an LS3 box.
Hand it to me. Yeah, hold it there. Hold on.
O-rings are like the control. It's almost like we're at the engine dyno.
And Steve Brule over here.
Look at that. Hit it. Oh, yeah.
All right, we are at the dyno. It's time to fire this thing up. New valley pan is on there. The only thing we brought to this dyno session is 2 cans of zip ties and a couple cases of beer in case this goes well.
Or
We're
in
all
case it
set.
doesn't.
Science. We're gonna science this thing. Get the heater on. Fire it.
Maybe.
Ignition.
Let's see what the oil pressure is.
Yeah. Let's do it again and check the oil pressure.
Oh, but it sounds sick.
That feels good. It does sound sick.
This is the wager. I've got my 5.3 coming in hot after this one. If you don't make 50 horsepower more than my 5.3, which is $20 per horsepower at $1,000 more, then you gotta wax your nose hair. I bought a kit on Amazon.
Make that deal.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. I'm excited. It's
My
gonna
wife-
hurt.
my wife
It's gonna
will be
hurt
happy
like
either
hell.
way.
It's gonna hurt like hell. Hell yeah, we got the goods.
Put it on this thing.
Yeah. Come on. Oh,
Smoking and drinking.
All right, you want to take a break? Get some pizza.
the greatest. What's the, you got a hot one under? Give me that hot one.
That's gonna be a hot one. I can tell.
Listen, I think it's time we tell you guys.
Twice in one episode.
Legitimately. Tornettas, Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Out of control good. Out of control good. Brad's gonna go in the computer now and add an extra 100 horse and we'll be good.
$320.
320.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. At 6,100, Brad's gonna be right on. Watch. At 7,000, you're gonna be like
350 horsepower.
We're not getting a good clean O2 reading, so the computer was in closed loop, which means it's making its own adjustments, trying to find these target air-fuel ratios. And because his exhaust is 19 inches long, it just wasn't working. So we're going to now, Brad's already turned that off and it pulls clean. He'll just have to make the adjustments manually, dial in the tune. It's pretty close already, gotta be.
Ready?
There we go. 340.
341 horsepower and 286 foot-pounds of torque. But something wasn't happy up top?
I don't know what the fuck.
Sounded a little funky. What'd you rev it to?
65.
65?
A ripper. Turn the ignition on.
He said it would make 350 wheel on the, what did he say?
He said 350, it made 350.
On the nose.
Exactly, on the nose. So Brad's a guy who's got a little bit of experience with the LS. That's probably the motor he tunes the most here, LS setup.
Yeah.
He said it would make 350 wheel horsepower. It made 350.6 wheel horsepower. So I'm stoked because he said mine would make
Hey, guess
325.
what?
We'll find out.
He tuned some LS motors.
He's done it. He's done a thing or two.
I guess what?
Incredible.
I bet you he makes 325.
I bet it does.
Imagine that.
Hell yeah. All right, well, it took us all day to get this thing working right and fired up, and it took Brad like an hour to get it tuned in perfectly. It made 350 wheel horsepower, so that's ballpark 460, 475 through stock manifolds. That is pretty killer.
good. Pretty good. I'm stoked.
We're gonna go back to our shop, grab my 5.3 in the morning. We're gonna swap that thing in here and see what that engine can do.
I think my nose might be getting waxed.
Yeah, it might happen. It's all right. Ready? All right, it's time to load in my 5.3. I have an original Valley Pan cover, so it will have oil pressure, which is a big plus building an engine. And we're gonna slam it in and see what kind of power it makes. This is just, removal is the reversal of the installation, or flip that.
That was well said.
Fix that in post.
Engage the dowels and then pull it in. Pull it, push it back. Yep, stop. Okay.
Don't be sabotaging anything back there.
I'm not doing anything. I already know I'm gonna lose. Go ahead. Okay, stop. Don't move. Okay, got one in.
Now you're good. There you go.
The end?
Yep.
Here. That's it.
Trans is tight to the motor. Where's that 6 of Brad's we had? All right, we just knocked my 5.3 into my Cutlass frame. It's just about ready to fire up for the first time ever. Remember, same camshaft, springs, etc. as Barb's. Basically all the same intake, exhaust, manifolds. Anything that's gonna make power or affect power is exactly the same on this thing. So we'll see if a 6-liter is worth that premium price. But first thing I wanna see if it fires up and has oil pressure.
I like both.
Oh yeah, that's number one.
You really poured a lot of oil in that, didn't you?
Yeah, see that's what it is?
That's what it was.
Is that all oil? The dipstick?
Oh, you guys have the f***ing PCV block, don't you? Yeah, you have the caps on the valve covers. Pull them off.
I just wanted to lube up the cylinders real quick. It's like an engine builder's secret when you get used motors. It looked like it was down on oil pressure after we did that.
Did it?
I wonder if it's all up in the top of the motor or something stupid.
Not all oil under it.
Is it? Yeah, that's probably a problem. It probably blew it past some stupid shit. It looks like it's way down on oil pressure though. It's rising like super slow.
When you put the center cover on, you make sure all the O-rings are clean and good, right?
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, it was way high before and you'd rev it up and it would go sky high. Now you rev it up and it goes up like 1.
Well, if that rear seal's leaking, that's like a huge oil leak.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the 40s. It's probably all right, but, or 50, whatever. It's just moving up slow, so slow. I'm wondering if there's like a delivery problem. Green to red.
It's like crisp. Fire up.
What's the deal here? All right, she's definitely down on horsepower. Barb's not here. He had to run out for a minute. It's making 260 at the tires. Maybe like 75 less than we hoped for. We didn't have the PCV set up right, so it wasn't breathing, so it definitely blew out some oil past the rear main seal. Oil pressure is lower than I want it to be and lower than it was reading originally. None of these are good signs. I'm gonna pull a plug and see if we wreck the rings by pushing a bunch of pressure past them and oil. We'll see. 180.
There you go.
That's strong. We like that. 180. Same. 180. Same. Yeah, same. 180 on everything so far. We're close. 170-ish. Certainly within a couple percent of each other.
Well, it's got compression.
They all read 180 or very close. All right, next issue. I made 270 wheel. We have an issue where we didn't have the PCV opened up right, and we probably blew out something in the rear main seal or the rear cam seal. So we're running low on oil pressure, which has been kind of, we're not super familiar with these motors. Don't love it, but we are still sending it. It's got a nice pretty curve up there.
The plugs look rich. That's why I was okay with pulling it back on fuel a little bit.
All right, you want to pull a little more out? Not gonna hurt it. That's what he said.
If anything, it's just gonna fall off on power, and then we'll know. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, pull a little more out.
Yeah.
We just need to make 30 more.
Turn that fan on high.
Give me 30 more, and I don't have to wax my nose hairs. All right,
13.4.
let's do it.
Ooh, that got worse.
Oh, was that this time?
Yeah, we didn't have oil like that before. Just spinning it around. Yeah.
No, it's coming out, right?
You want to start it for a second? We can see if it's dripping out.
It's just not. It definitely blew some out in the backside. It blew a seal out. All right.
Yeah, it's felt 10 more.
But turn it back. All right. I think we got to call it there. Okay, so we pulled this thing off the dyno, making 269 wheel horsepower. I'm obviously the loser of this bet, and I feel like we didn't really find a conclusion to the question, is the 6.0 worth twice the money? Because what I think we're looking at here is the reality of you're buying a junkyard engine, and it's kind of a crapshoot. There are good ones, there are bad ones. Everyone acts like you snap every LS into any muscle car and you've got a 400 horsepower killer. It's gonna run forever and give you killer gas mileage. And that's just not the reality of it. As you see here, we have two engines. Barb got his 6.0. That thing ran exactly right. It made exactly the horsepower that Brad said. And I've got my 5.3 here, and it's down probably 50 horsepower. It seems to have good compression, oil pressure's all over the place. And I think doing a little bit more research when you grab these things and really dig into them and see the shape of them is gonna help in the long run. Bottom line is, I'm taking the L here. It's time to wax this nose here, but we're gonna get back to rough and rowdy projects. This was a really, really, really big undertaking for us to build two motors, get them into this chassis and dyno them. We kind of killed ourselves this week. But next week, the Cyclone is coming back, and all we're gonna do is turn some screws and hit the boost. So that'll be the best. All right, nose waxing time. I'm a man of my word. It didn't make the horsepower. It should have. And I guess I lost our bet. So I'm gonna wax my nose hair. Here we go. I'm Tony Angelo and welcome to Jackass. I really want to get this. Okay.
I'm honest, I'm terrified right now.
Has it been 90 seconds?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. Oh my God! Wow! Yeah, that really did a lot. Holy moly, that's smarts. Oh, man, I'm good. All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Holy shit.